Hi everyone, it's Helen Peters. Today we're going to be talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. And so this passage of scripture I don't know, sometimes it depends on the day for me. Sometimes it can intimidate me and I can just think, man, I'm never going to live up or be like that woman. And then other times I read it and I'm like, okay, yes, this is how I need to be. This is what I'm going to strive for. But I guess I want to say that because wherever you're at, when you read the Proverbs 31 woman, I think that scripture talks to us in different ways each time we read it. So right now when I read this, I look at it like, okay, this is how a woman who is fit to lead should live her life, right? And that really inspires me and makes me want to chase after it. But I want to say just a few months ago, reading Proverbs 31 woman made me feel very defeated. It made me feel intimidated. It made me feel like I can never measure up to that. I don't know what she's doing, but man, I just feel exhausted. And so I want to encourage you to just starting out, I want to encourage you wherever you're at, understand that scripture is going to look different each time that you read it. And that if you're feeling defeated reading the Proverbs 31 woman, you're a great person, you're doing awesome, you're doing the best you can, and just continue to pray that God will give you the strength to continue to grow and learn. If you read this and it inspires you, great. Start writing some things down and looking at how can I grow? How can I be more like this woman? So looking at that passage of scripture, one thing that I really didn't know until I started looking at my commentary, or actually really reading kind of the beginning of the passage, not just when it starts talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. But, Proverbs is all about wisdom. That's literally what the whole thing is about, like wisdom, righteousness. But this particular portion is a queen telling her son, who will be king, this is the kind of woman, first off, let me backtrack. The beginning is what she's telling him what not to do and what to do. And then he gets to the subject of a woman. Like when you are trying to pick a wife, this is the kind of woman that you want, right? So when we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, this queen is saying, this is the kind of woman that you want because she is fit to lead. And so I believe that as Christians, we're fit to lead. We are supposed to be going out. We're supposed to be witnessing for God. We're supposed to be leading that front. So you and I can take away from the Proverbs 31 passage, this is what a woman who is fit to lead looks like. Okay, so let's talk about 3 things that basically pop out to me. Of course, there's a lot of things that you could take away from this passage, and I'm sure each of you who've read it, like there's something that sticks out to you in the time period or the phase of life that you're in. But there's 3 things that stick out to me, and you're probably going to hear some things you're like, Helen literally always talks about this, but it's because it's just where my head is right now. But the first is fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord to me right now, it's not just right now, it is. It is the basis of everything. Every person who had a close and meaningful relationship with God or Jesus had fear of God. And I know that sometimes we don't like hearing that, but fear of God is just like, it's like taking in a moment and thinking, oh my goodness, this is the creator of the universe. It's where we're struck with awe. It's where we start living our lives the way we know we should, because we have that little bit of fear in us. I think a lot about when you're a kid and you want to please your parents and you did something wrong, how you felt like, I don't know about you, but I didn't get in trouble a lot at school. But when I did, I was like petrified. And so when I would tell my parents, I was like, but it was mainly because I loved them so much and I just wanted to please them. That's the same kind of fear of the Lord that when you take that aspect, increase that by infinity. And that's really where our love for God comes from. We have that same fear of the Lord that leads to love, that leads to wisdom. So that's the first thing she has. And I believe that because she has fear of the Lord, it drives her to do well with everything she is given, right? If God blesses us with everything that we have, then we are supposed to steward that well. And that is what she's doing. And she does this well because she has fear of the Lord. She doesn't say, well, next month I'll do better. Next month I'll save. Next month I'll clean. Next month, no, she's like, today, I'm going to work hard today. And I'm going to do this. And eventually she gets to a point where this is just clockwork. Because when I read this, I kept thinking, man, this is like clockwork for her. Right? I go through phases where I'm exhausted. And usually it's because I've let things slip for a while. And now I'm having to play catch up. Right? So anyways, okay, so she has fear of the Lord. And then next, she uses her time well. I believe the book talked about this too, but This is where my heart is right now. Everything that I'm doing is trying to steward my time well. And we look at our resources that God gave us. Time is invaluable. He gives us time, and sometimes we can look at it like day in and day out, just doing the same things with our head down, just trying to do it. And many of us, we're in very busy seasons of life, so that's normal. However, I do believe that even in that chaos, we really need to be thinking about how can we use our time wisely? Am I doing this the best that I possibly can? And again, you have to have the fear of the Lord before you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to turn off Netflix tonight, and maybe I'm going to go look at my calendar, make sure I have everything I need, and go to bed early so I can wake up early so I can start my day with Jesus and then have a better day. That takes not just discipline, but fear of the Lord, because to me, discipline, that's what I'm working on right now, discipline starts again with fear of the Lord. You'll see that everything comes back to that. But anyway, so she uses her time wisely. If you're looking for ways to use time wisely, I'm actually doing this monk manual with my mentor, and I'm not trying to like sell this to you or anything, but I use it and it's been really great for me. If you want to talk more about it, let me know. I've also been reading Atomic Habits with my mentor, and that, if you haven't read it, I don't know if you can see it. There you go. If you haven't read it, that's really good too for like if you feel like you're just kind of out of whack and you need to establish good habits. It's a good one. Okay, so the last thing is, I don't know if any of y'all watch Bluey. I am a huge Bluey fan. I love when my son says, "Can we watch Bluey?" I'm like, yes, we can. But there's an episode where the kids are, or the Bluey and her sister Bingo are playing, and they ask the mom to play, and the mom's working, and she's scrubbing. She said, "I can't right now, I'm working." And she said, "That seems like hard work." And the mom says, "Your mom's not scared of a little hard work." Something that I'm going to be completely honest about is I'm not a huge fan of hard work. That's me. No, but I really am not. And I really like trying to come up with processes to make things easier. But for the last couple of years, I feel like being pushed, I was trying to do so much, right? I was trying to do so much, and I got exhausted, and I just stopped. And I just started feeling defeated all the time. And so I wanted to say this in kind of a backtrack way, and then come back to where I was starting to start. I believe that God has seasons that we're supposed to be working hard and seasons that we're supposed to rest. In fact, He does everything in 7-year cycles. Even in Scripture, it shows that 6 years you were supposed to work and toil. In the 7th year, God was going to provide, and you were supposed to rest. I believe that I was toiling really hard for 6 years, and I got to a point that my body needed to rest. I needed a time to just sit. And now that year is complete, and it's time that I can feel things start picking back up. So I wanted to encourage you and say, before I get into the hard work part, that if you're in a season where you need to just rest, that is where you need to be. But it got to a point with me that I had a season of rest, and then I got to a season where I got used to rest, and I didn't want to keep pushing. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do things. And that's where I started feeling convicted. And that's where I wanted to say, okay, when I read the Proverbs 31 woman, that's when I started feeling a little bit intimidated and a little bit like I can never measure up. When I really started praying about it, I realized it was because I had gotten to a point that I started making excuses. And you may not be there. I'm not saying you are if you need time for rest, because people need rest. But I know that I was. And it was time for me to get to work. It was time for me to start plowing again, put my hands to the plow, and not look back. And so that's where I am today, and that's why I'm trying to steward my time well. We can't be scared of a little hard work when God calls us to it, and this woman wasn't. And you see, because of that, all the blessings that transpired, not just for her, but for everyone else, right? Everyone that was around her benefited because of that. And so that is really all I wanted to say today. Oh, this one's for free. This really didn't apply to anything else, but I did want to say it. I used to think back when she said, when it said that, her husband, her kids rise up and praise her. Well, I'm a words of affirmation person, so I was really wanting that. Then one day, or actually not one day, this last time that I read it, it hit me that that's, even though her husband and her children rose up and praised her for her actions, that's not why she did it. right? I should not be living my life just wanting praises or telling for my husband to tell me I'm doing a good job, or, because then I'm not doing it for the right reasons. I should be doing it because of my fear for the Lord, because I am thankful for my blessings and I want to steward what I've been given well. And for that reason, and because I love my family, because I love the people that I reach to, that I want their lives to be blessed because of how I live mine. And that should be the only reason that we do anything, not for personal praise, not for personal glory, but for God's glory. And that's it.